All right, guys, this is a History PR podcast. We have Aubrey Wood here with us today. Hey, Audrey, how you doing?
Good, Scott.
Good, good. So we tried it a different way, but it didn't work out. So we're gonna just record with the phone. I'm gonna hold my hand up the whole time. So as we talked about, we're gonna have to go over it again. But just a little background, Aubrey, on when you got started in racing.
Yeah, well, I was around with my father when I was a kid. I was an only boy, so I was with him most of the time. We had a barn on Somerset Street, and he used to jog the horses to the racetrack to train them in the spring. And I used to go with him with a pony. I was only young, and he trained the horse, and then we'd drive back to Somerset Street. And he used to run a riding school off of Somerset Street back in the 40s. And it was quite busy.
Yeah.
He had quite a few saddle horses, plus he had race horses. And I guess that's where I started.
So yeah, it's almost like I think for a lot of us that have parents involved in it, it's kind of almost engraved in our blood.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Well, pretty much everybody, the whole families all went. Like
yeah,
the Kirkpatricks, they were all together.
yeah,
And Everett Benson and his family was together. Ray Thomas and their families were together. Everybody was at the racetrack when they had horses.
yeah, definitely. Well, I know just for myself personally, my father was involved, my grandfather was involved, my whole family was involved.
Yeah.
So my first memory is being a little kid running around down there. And
Back in the early 40s, there was a lot of riding schools. Like my father had a riding school. There was a riding school out at Gilper's Lane that Sandy Johnson used to run. Joe Hattie had a riding school on Prince Edward Street, and Williams had a riding school on Aaron Street. It was all saddle horses then, and then they got into Nod racehorse. So that's the way it went from there.
so back then, like in the 40s, it's pretty busy. You were saying before down Moose Path, it's a pretty
Oh yeah,
happening
they
spot.
were packed. The racetrack was packed on a race day because there was nothing else really. That
Yeah.
was the only thing going.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh.
And then they used to race their horses in the Winter Street along Russell Street.
okay,
Go in sleighs and race in the Winter Street because there was no cars hardly then either.
Yeah.
You know, and out around the lake is where they used to ride their horses, and it was all bare ground. It was no pavement. It
yeah.
was all just gravel. Yeah.
So you started racing at 16. You said that's when
I
you
raced
had.
at 16. I rode a little horse called Maggie's Boy out of a mare, Miss Macdale. I raced him with my first horse to drive. And I raced him when I was 16. And then 17, I raced a little trot horse called Dr. Bunter. He was my first horse I win with.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
So how was that first win? Must have been pretty exciting when you got your first
Pretty
win.
good. I win both dashes.
Yeah,
But the story on him was, my father trained him, and I trained him most of the time in the spring. Like I was 15, 16. I trained him in the spring, and we trained him on the pace. Race day come, he was a pacer. He was in to go. So anyway, the man that owned him lived in Fredericton. He come down and passed us the papers. Here, they're trot papers. And we never trotted the horse before.
yeah.
Like he jogged on the trot, but that was it. So he's all warmed up with the hobbles on. So my father says, take the hobbles off. I'll put a set of bell boots on him, a set of brace bandages front, a set of knee boots, and brace him behind, and away you go. Good luck. I said, good luck. So out I went with him, and only win both heats.
Oh, geez.
Wasn't too fast. 18, 19 is all they'd go back then.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I turned around that year. I give him a new record, and I give him a record of 215. He only had a record of 16.
Yeah.
There was another old horse was 15 or 16 for Henry White. I used to train him and race him for old Henry, and cripes didn't I give him a record of 15. So I had two old horses that were 15. They both got records of 15. And I was 16, so there
So
you
you're
go.
pretty up and coming. Like you were good right away. They pretty much knew you had the talent in you.
Well, Dr. Duggan was the presiding judge, and he give me my papers right away.
Yeah.
When they give me my license, I got them right away because I had been training from the time I was 13 on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's
So I didn't have any problem that way.
and And you were saying before, like, the older generation was pretty good with you because your father was
Oh,
well
yeah.
respected.
Yeah,
You
they-
were, yeah,
Yeah, they all thought the world of me. Like if I was a young kid and I was the only kid, only
Yeah.
boy, so they kind of looked after me.
well, that's good.
Yeah, yeah, they might have been able to beat me. I don't know.
Because I know I was just thinking about that. Like, I actually was writing my questions down. I thought, well, I wonder how the old timers would have treated.
Yeah.
But I mean, I also talked to me and Bruce were talking about it last night,
Yeah.
and Bruce even said, well, Aubrey was well respected, and his father was well respected too.
Yeah,
Like your father Curry was, yeah.
yeah. Well, Jimmy Doherty and Mo Doherty and them thought the world of my father. He was a good horseman. He could take cripples and get them raced. They could hardly walk, and he'd have them out racing.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So your father won the Monctonian too. You said in '50. Was it in the
Yeah,
'50s?
way back, well, probably 50 or late, early 60s.
Yeah.
Right handy there, yeah.
Now, did he race right up to the? And I know he passed away in the late
Well,
'70s.
he passed away when he was 64,
Mm-hmm.
but he'd been sick before that for a year or so. Yeah. But he raced right up until the end. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, because
He raced with me. He beat me a few times. I beat him a few times. One time that horse, that young topper that won the Monctonian, he was in to go and there was time to go, or what was his name? There was Marta Hell. I had her. He had young Topper. And Timely Rain, Mikey Doyle had him. And my father drew the outside. And I said, don't leave, Dad, because I'm leaving with Marta Hell. I said, I'm going to go to the front. He said, don't worry about Ob. You drive yours, I'll drive mine. When they hollered go, he was gone. That's the end I seen of him. I still haven't seen him yet. I still seen the tail end of him.
that's awesome. So you guys, you guys raced together a lot. Like you guys had a lot of races
back
together.
then we did, yeah.
Were you competitive towards each other? Like pretty competitive against each other when you raced each other?
Yeah.
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 So
Then I went out on I got my own stable after that, and a bit late in the 70s, and then I got hurt bad in 71.
yeah.
I had my own stable then, but then I went to work for Milton Downey.
So one of the horses in that stable was More Than Fair. That's one of the big horses.
No, well, that was John Davies had her. I just
Okay.
test drove her.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you took her up to Rockingham in '69, did you not? I think it was.
Well, John Davison sent her down to Bobby Stevenson.
Okay.
He had her in '69 down there, and she was jumping on him. So John asked me to go down and drive her.
Mm-hmm.
And there was kind of a secret to driving her, so I went down and I drove her, and I win down there. And that's John Barton Beansy, they called him, at the horse's head, because he was working in Rockingham with
Yeah.
Jimmy. He was with Jimmy down there. And I went with her there, and then next week he wanted me to go back again because she was in to go in Suffolk. I went down there and I finished second with her down there. Yeah, she was a nice trotter, but she was a little fussy to drive.
Mm.
Yeah.
So you had association with Milton Downey too.
Oh yeah, I had a bunch of horses for Milton. I had 13, 14 horses for Milton.
There was a story, I think. Did you tell me, was it Milton that you guys went out to the island and Doug Caldwell pulled a little stunt on you guys?
Oh yeah.
What was that story again that happened?
We come back from the island, and I had 5 horses, and Doug blamed it on me for taking the horses to the island. But Milton always went to the island.
Yeah.
So we come back from the island. I went to put the horses in the stall. The stalls were all locked. So I called him on Milton, and I said, Milton, the stalls are locked. They're taken. Oh, he says, anything in them? I said, no, there's padlocks on. Oh, well, I'll be right out. Out he come with a chain cutters, and he cut all the chains, put the horses in. He went over the next day and thanked Doug for saving his stalls.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I've heard stories about Doug Caldwell. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
I know he was a businessman, but he was a little bit hot-headed, I think.
He was
from what-
strict. He was strict.
Yeah. But, I mean, he ran some successful times down there when he was there.
Yeah,
back in the,
he run the show.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. He was in there. When did he come in? Did he come in the 50s, was it?
50s. My father had 2 horses for him. And he raced them for Doug.
Mm-hmm.
And then Doug went out on his own, took the 2 of them himself.
He actually went and raced, did he?
Huh?
He raced it?
No,
Like-
he never drove. He never drove. He never jogged.
Okay.
Yeah, but he owned these 2 horses. Yeah.
Okay.
Frisco O'Donnell, and then there was another mare he had. Yeah.
So a couple horses I've been told to ask you about is Gazelle LaBelle, Bonnie.
That's an old horse that Milton had that I used to drive all the time.
Yeah.
He was my favorite for Milton's. Yeah,
When was that?
that was, well, after I got in the 70s.
Okay. Yeah.
I was hurt. I was crippled.
Yeah, we'll get into that because I mean, you don't mind talking about that, do you?
No,
Like I don't want to like bring
no,
back bad memories,
no.
but I have the exact date. It's March 27th of 71
Yeah.
that you got in the accident. It was 5 years involved. So what happened? What was the situation? Like what happened there?
Well, they went into the first turn, and Jackie Bernard was on the outside, and Dave Chapman was in behind him, and I was in behind Dave Chapman, and Jackie kind of come in close to Dave, hit the mare in the legs, and down she went. When she went down, I went down. And Boy Tremere went in the center field, and Donnie Queen come from behind, and I was standing up, and he run over me. He couldn't see me, like he didn't know what was happening, and he went over top of me. I busted an ankle, broke it right off, and I had 7 stitches in my nose and 4 discs in my neck. And I come home. I was home for a week, and I started passing blood, and they took me back in. Here my kidney was busted, and I had to put a tube in my kidney to my bladder, and I spent 3 months in the hospital.
Jesus.
But Milton was a great man. When I got out of the hospital, my job was still there waiting for me 3 months later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you did a lot of work with him. So Gazelle LaBelle, that would have been what, the mid 70s that you had that horse?
Yeah,
Yeah.
70 to 80, in between 70 and 80, yeah.
Okay, and Bonnie Walter, would that be another
Buddy
one?
Waller was another one. We had Bachelor Boy and
Yep.
we had a bunch of them.
Jet A Boy was another one. Or Jet Boy A.
Jet Boy A. I took him to the island.
For the Gold
He was
Cup.
in the Gold Cup and Saucer, Jet Boy A.
How'd you do with him?
He fifth with him in
Fifth.
the Cup and Saucer.
Okay.
He only had a record of 6-1.
Okay.
That was in '73.
So also, I heard that you almost won the Alexander in 73.
Yeah, yeah.
Came second?
Second, I was second with a horse called Hilton Highway.
Yep.
No, another New Zealand horse,
Okay.
Hilton Highway.
So was,
Gons Butler win it.
yeah.
I was second. And I think I might have been able to beat him, but he had me by about 4 lengths at the head of the stretch.
Okay.
And I never got at this Hilton Highway horse. And Gons Butler win it. Yeah.
So when that accident happened in 71, like that really, was it something more health why you didn't drive all the time anymore? Or was it more just like you didn't really want
No,
to?
I had a bad ankle, and then
Yeah.
my kidney was bothering me, and my neck was bothering me, so I just didn't bother that much
Yeah.
more. I used to drive the good-mannered one pretty well,
Yeah.
but the other pullers and stuff like Milton used to drive them.
Yeah.
The best horse I had for Milton that I ever drove was Bachelor Boy N.
Yeah.
I went in 2-2 with him. That's the fastest I ever went in my life, was 2-2.
I think, did you break a record, I think, with him?
Huh?
Did you break a record with him or?
No, but that was the best trip I ever had, was 2-2
Okay.
with him. Yeah.
And yeah, you had him up in the island for there, and then so, like we're big. Like I'm big on the 70s. So, like mids, like kind of explain like Exhibition Park mid 70s, like 75, 76, 77. It's a pretty big place to be. Am I right?
Oh yeah, it
Like-
was the top spot.
Yeah. Like you're.
It was the main racetrack.
Yeah. Because they're doing
There
big.
was Halifax, there was Halifax, and Moncton was going some then, but that was all.
Mm-hmm.
But one time when I started, there was St. John,
Mm-hmm.
there was St. Stephen's, there was Fredericton, there was Woodstock, there was Sussex, there was Bucktooth, St. Anthony. There was
Wow.
all them racetracks all going.
So it's just nonstop.
Yeah,
Like you guys always had a place to go.
yeah.
Like, because you almost race every day, pretty much. I would think. Like some of them places would go like,
Well, no, they all mostly went on the weekend.
yeah,
Mostly all Saturday. But,
yeah,
Doug Cowell started it twice a week.
yeah.
And that's when we went twice a week.
What was your guys' thought when he did that? You think that was a little crazy that he was going to go twice a week? Do you think he had enough horses to do it, or?
Well, no, there was lots of horses.
Yeah.
We had the barns were full. You couldn't get your horses in half the time.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember there's cool pictures some people posted, like even in this late 70s.
Yeah.
Just like you look at them barns, it looks like a happening place to be. There's cars everywhere, there's people everywhere.
Yeah.
I have a video of I think it was 76, and it's in the paddock area,
Yeah.
And even you see Wally. Wally's really young in that video. He comes Wally. It's like looks to be about his early 20s.
Well, Wally was in his he was in his teens.
Yeah.
When he walked through his barn, through my barn, I had McFadden's horses in from the island. They had 4 or 5 of his horses.
Yep.
He walked through to see what was going on, and he was heading for the boats. He was going to work on the boats.
Yeah.
And he went down and he worked a week or a couple of days. He didn't like it, so he come back to the racetrack, and that's where he stayed.
Yeah, yeah. And he had a good career here too, definitely.
Yeah.
Because I got all them 80s videos from Steve and
Yeah, he had
Twyla.
good horse. He drove some of mine too when I had them later on.
Yeah.
Later years, yeah.
Yeah. No, that's definitely cool. Let's see where we're at now. So, and you're also pretty close to Jimmy Doherty back in
Oh
the day.
yeah. Jimmy and us were always good friends.
Yeah. And I have a picture of me meeting Jimmy when I'm like 8, I think, and it's like meeting the biggest hockey player or something in the world because I'm such a big fan of everything, right?
Yeah.
I got to meet him when I was younger. There's a picture somewhere of me meeting him, but
He's an awful friendly man. Jimmy was an awful nice fella.
yeah. My father, I think he worked for my father when my father passed. I think my father worked for him when my father passed away.
Yeah, I think your father did work for Jimmy.
Yeah, because I remember seeing him or Jimmy. Anytime I only met him a few times, but just a very, very nice man. Like
awful friendly. He was always had time for you.
Yeah, real sweet man, and hell of a horse driver. I'll tell you, Jesus.
Yeah.
Like I seen races, the '84 Provincial Cup, I think it was. I have it. I had a tape of it. I put it up on the page, and he's sitting in 7th, right to like almost at the 3/4 pole, and then just comes out of 7th and just goes to the front like it was nothing.
Yeah.
Just like that.
He came here with 2 or 3 horses, like different times.
Yeah.
And win with them, from away.
Yeah, he would come down for the big races and stuff. Yeah, definitely. And also, like, you did a lot of breeding, too. Like, you and your wife, Linda, back in the 80s, did you not? Out in Golden Grove?
Yeah. I had 4 or 5 bears out there.
Yeah.
I bred colts. Some of them turned out, some of them didn't. So
Yeah.
that's the way it was.
It's kind of basically part of the game there. And also, your daughters are both involved now, are they not, in the racing business?
Yeah, well, one daughter now, she was down the State Straight early.
Yeah.
She was married to Wayne Watson, and they went to the States. I give them April Power to take with them.
Yeah.
That's the only way they could get in.
Mm-hmm.
So I give them her to take down, and they went down. They stayed a while. She was there for years. She's been there. She's still there. Now she's into the saddle horses. She don't bother with the race horses.
Yeah.
Then I've got Natalie. She's at the racetrack now.
Mm-hmm.
She's around there with Butch White.
Yeah.
And she loves it. Yeah. And the 2 boys, they never bothered. The other girls, they bothered some. Jackie's, she used to bother. She had a mare, This Hitch for You.
Mm-hmm.
She had her for a couple of years. But they never bothered. They got out of it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's, I know from my perspective, like, I was obsessed with it as a child. And then I got older, kind of veered off a little bit. But I still always had respect for it.
Yeah.
I always knew, like, I remember going to the exhibition as a kid, like a teenager, but I'd always go to the track.
Yeah.
I'd always go up and see your buddy and check it out. And now getting older and reminiscing a lot more, right? It's, it's being a kid, it was the place to be. And I think I said to you before we started filming, I was there when it was downtime. I didn't even get to experience the good times. I didn't get to experience the 70s, which I'd love to, but there's no way I do except for through film.
Linda and me used to go up to your mother's place. You were only a little boy then.
Yeah.
You were only maybe a year or 2 years old.
Yeah.
We used to always go up there, after the races.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, heard stories my grandparents used to have after race parties too back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
They'd have the big parties up there at the big house.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's... No, it's definitely... it's interesting, for sure. I mean...
Yeah.
Like hearing all the stories about that, but that's really good. Thank you, Aubrey. That's cool. I appreciate that. I appreciate taking your time today and telling us a few stories there.
Well, that's good. Good.
So everyone will enjoy it, and thanks a lot. I appreciate it, Aubrey.
Well, good, Scott. Thank you.
You're welcome.